Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We're playing every mission of the mainline Halo video game series in chronological order, discussing our experiences and sprinkling in a bunch of lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. If you like what you hear and want to support the show, visit Podcast Evolved on Patreon. This episode, we're debriefing the Foundation mission from Halo Infinite. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
Matt Salvatore.
I didn't think Halo Infinite would start out with a makeup tutorial, but I'm excited.
And Krista Brown.
Who's this new bitch?
She's new. Last mission, Warship Gabrakan. After Atriox tossed Master Chief around the Infinity like a ragdoll, he's found adrift in space by Echo 216, 6 months after the UNSC lost the battle that left Zeta Halo broken. The pilot jump-starts John 117's Mjolnir armor just as the Banished capture his Pelican on Warship Gabrakan. Chief borrows the pilot's pistol and launches into action to free the Pelican and get back into the fight. Chief meets the Banished War Chief Escharum via multiple holograms before scuttling the ship and reuniting with the pilot. Now in Foundation, back on the Pelican, John 117 learns more about the current status of the UNSC at Zeta Halo. He receives coordinates to the weapon, which he must retrieve at a shattered portion of the ring. The date of the game is May 28th. This is one of those long days in John's life. May 28th, 2560. Let's do this opening cutscene. David.
Yes. So John pretty much just walks. You can pretty much assume that it picks right up where the last mission left. Mm-hmm. John's in the back of the Pelican. He's talking to the ship AI, which I guess is just a generic dumb AI that the Pelican has. Mm-hmm. So John is locate the Infinity. You get like the Infinity. The AI comes back with a hologram. It shows you a picture of the Infinity. It has a crew of 7,150. This is interesting because the typical crew size of the Infinity is actually closer to like 20,000. It's normally in the 17 to 18,000. Mm-hmm. So already you can see that the crew has been decimated. Like the crew count is quite low. This is presumably based off the events of Halo 5 and all the kind of stuff that happened in between then and now, with the crew being quite small. We then have the fact that the AI does like a scan for like the rest of the UNS forces, and it just shows you like there's like almost 2,000 UNSC tags around. All of them are dead. So that's an important number as well to count on, that like we've only 2,000 are gone of the 7,000. So there's 4 to whatever thousand people still kicking around, more or less. So that's, I think, really interesting. And also because you never actually see the wreckage of the Infinity. I think there's a lot that we can say about that. There's a lot of main characters that don't show up in the game that were on the Infinity. So like there's an element to where is the actual Infinity and the rest of the crew. Because obviously there's been a 6-month time jump between the beginning of the game and now. A lot's happening, people are missing. Thought that was very interesting. The cutscene goes to black and fades and opens back up with Tremonius looking at the hologram of the Garokan just blowing up as it slowly crashes. We're introduced to the character of Tremonius, himself, with a Scarum. I should that, and he's kind of giving out. And you get your serum is like, he doesn't feel bad. He said he
David,
feels invigorated.
Are you ever going to say Escharum? Or are you always going to say Escarum?
Maybe. I'll say whatever I want. Escharum. Escrotum. The scrotum guy.
The scrotum boy.
Wheeze guy.
Right, sorry. Escharum, sorry. Escharum and Tremonius are just having an argument here. Tremonius is your typical dumb brute, kind of, the way he comes across. Escharum is pretty happy. The fact that the chief is back, he feels invigorated. That's kind of interesting as well, and it sets up his character, like we said, of where his motivations come from. They're talking about getting revenge and talking about getting the ring under control. It's not really sure why, and when you come back to this game after playing it and you know so much more, these cutscenes play out a little bit differently. I kind of like that. I like that you know kind of what they're so angry about and what they need revenge for. which is pretty cool. So then Tremonius has like a spasm attack, and I thought my game was broken. And I didn't know
Really?
what the hell was going on. And then it's kind of revealed that, oh no, there is a Blade Master in stealth, in like the world's most perfect stealth, kind of
Right.
pushing this brute down.
You can see it if you look for it, though. You can see
Yeah,
the,
I'm looking. Yeah, I'm
distortion.
looking at it now. Yeah, the distortion is really good though. It's really well done. So you were introduced to the Blade Master Jaga here, and then it kind of like Eshram was giving a speech. Won't bow to anyone. All of these people, not her, in talk referring to the Harbinger. He says the ring will be operational, so it makes you think that they actually want the ring to use it for the ring's purpose, which is interesting. And then he says once the ring is operational, then you'll have your revenge. Tremonius kind of like sulks off and kind of walks away. And then Ishram gives Blade Master a mission. He says, follow the Spartan from a distance. I want to know everything about him. But he seems pretty happy. He seems like a pretty happy dude. Do you know what I mean? The cutscene then slowly turns around Iscarum and brings us back to Chief. I like the kind of cutscenes the way like they meld. So it shows Chief looking at the pelican, all the deceased around him. He kind of moves. He kind of like links himself to the ship AI, which is kind of interesting. And it has like an encrypted message that the AI finds in John's suit. He says he can't encrypt it, but its source. He tracks it to a specific location. And this is where like John and Echo 216 have their first real fight. Echo 216 wants to get out of here. John is like, fuck you, we're going to go do this. He's like, I don't really care, I want to go home. And John is like, hell no, we are here to fight. We're doing the duty. If we don't, there'll be no home to go to, because we have to beat the Banished. And that's pretty much John in a nutshell. And he's just here to fight. And pretty much I like how John just gives the AI the override of the manual control. Just fly the Pelican, take me to where I need to go. That's pretty kind of cool.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
He doesn't let the pilot fly
No.
there.
No, he doesn't really care. He's just like, I'm doing this, you're doing this with me. The pilot is super bummed out. He's just not really having any of it. But
He's just like, I want to go home.
yeah. And John is like, no, you can't go home. I'm sorry. We're here to do a duty. We're here to be John Master, John Hope, and this is what I'm going to be.
Dr.
John Hope. It pretty much just cuts off then with Chief jumping out of the Pelican and beginning the mission.
Yeah, he's continuing his mission more or less, because he knew, like, before he got the shit kicked out of by Atriox, he was supposed to be doing something, and he's kind of trying to pick that back up after 6 months later. So he's doing all he knows how to do, and he doesn't have any direct, like Chief has kind of had over the years in other games. He hasn't had anybody like a direct report, right? Like he's just kind of off on his own, doing his own thing, what he knows to be right.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Yeah, he doesn't have anyone telling him that caves aren't natural formations.
Oh shit! How is he gonna know?
I know. It was so sad when he came to that cave and no one told
him. Or he
him.
doesn't have Del Rio yelling at him to surrender that AI.
Give me that chip! You can't hog the lays all to yourself.
Yeah. All right, so we jump down into this. The setting here is cool because it looks like you're dropped off like into one of the blown up like sections, like the side of the ring, right? So if you look around, it's kind of all blue and dark, and there's lightning all over the place, and lots of things going on. You kill your first elite here, and most of the elites are like mercenaries, so they are fighting with the Banished, but they're not necessarily like the blue and the red ones. They're not necessarily part of the Banished. Maybe, I don't know. They're on the ring fighting for a similar purpose, I guess, but. It's good to see the elites back, right? Can continue killing them and taking down their shields, and the higher level ones get pissed off and go cloak, which is cool. But overall, you're just wandering around this section here, this new area, and you do unlock a recovered audio file, which Matt will talk about towards the end again. So just for playing this mission, you get to learn a little bit more about the overall story. So we're going to wander around here a little bit, and then eventually we're going to get to a point where you get the Phantom, the banished Phantom, and it has that loud horn.
Yep.
The
We should just call it the Bantam.
Phantom.
Right. And so anytime you hear that horn, you're like, uh-oh.
So
Yeah.
satisfyingly scary.
Throughout the entire game, you're just kind of looking around like, whoa, here we go. Where are they coming from? These initial fights here, you're more or less like grappling across little open spots. You're fighting grunts, jackals, the brute miners. You do find a captain here, a brute captain. I think he has a ravager towards the beginning here. Krista, any thoughts on the kind of like the setting and this initial area here where you get dropped off?
Oh my god, the first thing you notice is its classic Forerunner architecture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every room you go into, you can kind of see hints of Halo CE, Halo 2, Halo 3, and it's throughout the entire game, and it just makes me so happy.
Yeah.
They nailed the Forerunner architecture. It's beautiful. I love it.
The doors.
We got Forerunner doors.
Mhm.
Those
Forerunner
doors are amazing.
I love
Yeah,
them.
they're so good. And you can grapple
Make
around
one.
and explore a little bit. There's not really much to do here, but it's fun to at least try, right?
Mhm. You go through the doors and you see some sentinels.
Yes, that's right. So we see some sentinels in there. They just fly by, right? They don't really do anything to you right here. And then there is that one little sticking point. I think before that door is where there's like this big wall, and there's some grunts up above, and there's a bunch of brutes down below and stuff like that. That was a little bit of a sticking point for me, but you just have to take your time, and then you get up there and get inside. And then, we see the sentinels fly by, and so this whole portion is like this mysterious, like the ring is broken, right? And so they do a good job of conveying that with like these, the pillars and whatnot. You're climbing through. There's a little bit of dialogue.
I'm pretty sure they tell you it's trying to repair itself. It's dying, but trying to like repair itself or something like that, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, the pilot makes a comment about that.
Every ring's different.
Yep, exactly. You do at one point here towards the end, or towards so you get to this room where there's a gravity lift, and there's some elites and stuff in there. You do activate the gravity lift and go up the lift, which is fun because we've gone up elevators so far, but not gravity lifts. So we go up that, and then we hear the whispers. The whispers begin. If you knew how you were going to die, here we go. And it is Cortana's voice, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That quote made me very nervous throughout the entire game. I'm like, oh no, let's not talk about death, please.
Yeah, lots of
How would you live?
lots of
Stop it.
whispering. Lots of whispering throughout this, and lots of uncovering pasts and just mysterious stuff, especially in this mission and towards the end.
Some sick ASMR.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So we do a little more jumping and whatnot, and go through some more Forerunner doors, more whispers, and then we get to a point where we see a bunch of these big tablets. What are these tablets, Matt?
They're just big floppy disks.
Yeah, they just probably have like Han Solo stuck in there.
Yeah, exactly. Carbonite.
I honestly hope that there is one where Han Solo, like they have that kind of like Easter egg.
That pose.
But these are like the crypts for repopulating. So the Forerunners nabbed everybody, stuck them in these little tubes, and when
I got very excited
they
when I
fired
first
the
saw them.
rings.
Like I immediately
They're really
recognized
They
them.
are really neat. They are really neat looking,
Yeah.
especially the way they glow, and you can immediately tell what species or race is in
Mhm.
there. You're like, oh, that's a human. So like you got some ancient humans in there, you got some elites, and it's really neat. So that's the crypts that you have and they all kind of spin around, and it's really kind of cool.
Yeah, they and then the pilot pops on. It's like, what are these? How do we know this is not a trap? She's like, you know what? I don't. I'm just gonna keep going.
Chief's like, it's undoubtedly a trap.
And you can there's a bridge that you have to cross, and you could fall off this bridge, and or they could push you up. You kind of have to navigate your way through these things as they're circling around, and you find out they're all circling around this one spot, and then like this data cluster essentially explodes in front of you into the ring. And we've seen this cutscene a little bit like in some of the marketing way back. But you see the ring, and then you see a portion of the ring get blown up from here. And then we go and touch the console itself. David, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I will. I wish this reveal wasn't done before the game came out. I wish this was like revealed in the game, because it would have been way, way, way cooler. So on comes not Cortana. So it's an AI, clearly has the Jen Taylor voice. She's wearing a UNSC uniform, is her kind of AI persona. She's a slightly different face, which I appreciate that they did change her face to the Cortana one. And she pretty much just saying the rogue Nordic Cortana has been deleted, but she's not supposed to be. She's just kind of giving her mission report. Essentially, John is like, how, by who? So she kind of taught, because you kind of discovered that John had a mission before this that we weren't really aware of as the player, but he was. Her instructions were to enter the installation, to imitate Cortana and lock her down for retrieval. John was supposed to then bring her back to the Infinity. That's the point. But then she kind of thinks, well, if you didn't do it, why am I still here? And then she pretty much says there's also something else. And she was supposed to be auto-deleted when she was completed, but obviously she's still there. She doesn't know why. It's confirmed that like Cortana is dead, pretty much, that she's gone. So she's not supposed to be here, which is kind of another kind of big blow to like what you thought the story of the game was going to be.
Right.
Which is kind of weird. I don't know. It's kind of like this is like it's a big cutscene because it's just like super revealing to like all the kind of stuff that was supposed to be happening that you thought you were supposed to be doing. She was
especially
created
how Halo 5 ended, right?
Yeah, big time. And because they created it, it's not a thing now, and it's kind of crazy. So we'll kind of discuss that, I think, at the end of the game. But where we're going, essentially, she's like, well, I'm not supposed to be here. I was created for one purpose. The purpose is done. My mission is over. I'm ready to kind of go.
Yep. She's very eager to be deleted right away.
100%.
She's like, all right, time to die.
Yeah. John is having none of it because he's like, no, Banished are planning to use this ring. We need to make sure they can't. She's like, what the hell is Banished? Which is kind of funny. So she's been kind of trapped here for 6 months by herself. She's like saying, you know, you can't get anywhere. If the ring is blown up, it's impossible. You can't shoot the ring, so it's totally fine. They would need an index, and only Cortana has the index. She says, I have parts of it as well. So Chief kind of comes to the conclusion, we need to find out what stopped your deletion and why. She's like, it's not the mission. And he says, the missions change. They always do. Which is a great line. And she's like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. And he pulls the core out of the chip out of his head. Offers it to her. She does her Wi-Fi dangly thing in back of it. And I like that the game pauses here and makes you insert the chip by pressing X.
Yes.
Yep.
You plug it in, and you get a kind of the boot up screen again of this containment device, which is pretty cool. And then the scene's pretty much over.
Yeah, so now we have a not Cortana in her head.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And we'll talk more about that, you know, obviously throughout the game, but through this mission. And she's very naive, right?
I love her.
Oh, she's brilliant. I fell in love with her. Her facial expressions are so quirky, and she's such an odd character, which I really like. I really like that she is not Cortana, but has all the kind of bits that I think we like about her. It's pretty cool. She comes across at the beginning like as something different very quickly, which I appreciate.
I love it. Shows you kind of more about her because you just have so many questions. Like, okay, what is this?
Yeah.
The fact that she says, "What's a banished?" I think is huge. So you know, whenever they created her, and you know, a lot of that's in the audio logs and stuff. But when they created her, they didn't tell her about the banished. Her only job was to, you know, what she just said is to lock down Cortana. So she didn't know all this other stuff. So she's discovering a lot of the story along with you, which is fun. Any other thoughts, Matt, about this initial meetup?
I think how they introduced to you that essentially the threat of Halo 5 is over in just a very, very quick, like, yeah, it was dealt with kind of manner, but in so doing, they also seed a lot of questions. So, like, why didn't you delete? Why and how did they defeat Cortana and stuff like that? So I think it was kind of clearly a step away from what was done in the past, but I think it was done in a way that it pushed the story forward, and I think it kind of tied it in. So I really like the weapons addition to this team. I think she changes things up too, because it's, you know, with the pilots just kind of always complaining, Chief's always like, we kill it, and then you get a little more breath of fresh air with the weapons. So I like having her there.
Yep. Yeah, at this point, you know, I don't believe her either. You know, I'm like, the Cortana's gone. You know, like, there's so much, especially playing Halo games in the past. You know, there's always something new, right? Like, halfway through Halo CE, the Flood show up. So, like, I hear what she says. I don't necessarily believe her.
Yeah.
Krista, any more thoughts before we move on?
I really like the weapon. I really like that all this shit has happened and you're trying to kind of figure out how it happened, if it happened, what's going on. I just love that premise of this game so much. It's very harkening back to, you know, original Halo, where you have absolutely no idea what's going on. You're just doing things.
Yep.
So,
right.
and
But
obviously,
this one's weird, but like, John knows a lot more than the player does.
yes.
Do you know what I mean? He has way more information before this game. But all that kind of stuff is kind of, I wish I knew it before this game started. Like, I really wish I knew all about this mission. I wish there was a proper cutscene where Halsey and the infinity of the crew, the whole setup. I wish that was in the game, to be perfectly honest. Because like, it comes across a lot where like John is totally holding back loads of information, deliberately. And
But I think that's kind of the fun of the game, is because a majority of the questions, without spoilers, do get answered through the campaign of this game. And then when you go back and replay the game, you're looking at it from a completely different point of view because you know all of this stuff. I think it makes it more replayable.
Yeah.
So, like, the first time you play it, you're more like the weapon, where you're asking questions. And then the second time you play it, you're kind of more like on Chief's side, where you know the answers. And I always thought that was kind of neat, especially second playthrough, because having that, and I've never been like afraid of like having the actual character know more than me, because I think it allows for good storytelling by allowing Chief to know something. He's not holding it back for the player. He's holding it back because he doesn't trust the weapon. And so I think that's a good kind of character moment.
Yep.
That you can build off of.
Okay, so now the lift. So you grab her, stick her in your head. The lift goes up. Well, wherever you grabbed her is, obviously, you know, it's an elevator. It turns out, and it starts going up, and then
it's a trippy elevator.
Right, exactly.
Another gondola.
She says that she didn't activate it, which is also interesting. But as soon as Chief took her out of the console, then it triggered the elevator to move. And so it starts going up, and then that's when you hear more whispers. If you knew you were going to die, ... Your ride continues up and then starts going forward, and that's when she drops the. He talks about the whispers, and she goes, "Oh, it's just dust and echoes."
Yeah, he's like, "What?"
Yeah, I thought that was very good.
I like how they explain this though, because it kind of harkens back even to like Halo 3, where he's getting all of these things over and over again. It's just leftover data that's continually cycling until it runs out of power. I like that explanation. I think it's a good explanation, and I think it also clears up some of the questions we've had with previous Halos, with Cortana saying weird shit and in her brains and stuff like that.
Yeah, we don't, I guess we'll just say it now, we don't get the Cortana moments the same way that we did in Halo 3, which nobody really liked, right? Where it stops everything. You know, you have the audio things that happen, but you can continue to walk forward, which is great. And continue to fight while you listen to them.
More Halo 4 with the diadact talking to you.
Yeah, exactly. One more thing that's worth mentioning here is you hear Halsey's voice.
Mm-hmm.
And she talks about how she was called an emotionless automaton, and she's talking about the 75 candidates for the program. And she talks specifically about John. She doesn't say John, but she just talks about how she hopes that this one candidate survives. Because
No. She was talking about George.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's dead, so she had to move on.
And then at the top of at the end of your ride, you see a bunch of little kids running around. And that
was spooky.
Especially having kids. It's like, oh, this is weird. These are going to be future Spartans. Yikes. All right, so we'll keep going. The weird stuff still happens a little bit throughout this mission. Then we get back up to a big old Forerunner room. This next room actually is where the skull is found from the mission. And I didn't write down which one it was, so apologies for that. But you have to grapple shot up, and this is before your grapple shot gets upgraded, so it's a little bit more difficult. But you have to grapple shot up above into the rafters, and you can find it there. So grab that if you haven't. Like I said, go watch Halo Cannon's skull videos because they are very good. All right, so then we're gonna keep going forward. We're gonna go up into these additional rooms, and eventually you're going to hit a point where you need to do a little puzzle.
Yay!
Puzzles!
Dong 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 dong.
So
you need to find a Riddler trophy.
Yeah, ooh, good callback. I like that. So you reach a console, and the weapon says, we got to figure out how to power this thing up, and it's just, there's what they call a power seed, and it's right below where you're at in the console. So you just go grab that. So it's just teaching this little mechanic.
And you're going to get really sick of this shit.
This is a mechanic
quickly.
I thought was completely pointless in this game. I don't know why
I was
they
gonna ask you.
introduced this. No, it's total waste of time. I don't know why they did it. I feel like, okay.
I think it might have been for stockpile or something.
Yeah,
Right.
I think
Like
there's
for multiplayer?
I think there's stuff cut from this game clearly. We all know that, and I think there was more to these. I think more to these power seeds than what actually ended up happening.
Well, is it just because they're so basic? Like, they're not hard, right?
But yeah, it's not a puzzle. It's like there's no difference between you're going to get this thing to power a button to push X, and they just make you do an extra push of X to turn on a light bridge. Do you know what I mean? I was like, why waste 10 minutes of gameplay to make me do this?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't see the point.
Hit and miss. If they were more difficult, they would be more worthwhile. But yeah, I tend to agree that they're not super interesting.
It was busy work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For no benefit really.
Although it would be interesting to know, just looking at like the Razorback, if the power seeds played a more significant role in later ideas in the game. You know, like you could carry them. I'm just wondering if they later on they were meant to be for something else.
That's a good point. One thing to mention really quickly before, so I do want to go back I wrote this down, but the weapon talks. It's Cortuna. What do you want to call her? She talks about the smell of the banished.
That was a good dialogue.
She talks about how they smell bad, and then she goes, "Oh, but you smell fine, by the way."
Chief's using that soap.
He's got his built-in Spartan soap, baby. He's good.
And then as soon as you back to the puzzle, as soon as you grab the power seed, that's when Cortana from Halo 4 pops on and says they'll pair you with another AI. So that was a good callback too.
I do love that line that they call back to that moment.
Mm-hmm. And then, so you do the puzzle, then you walk across the light bridge, and now we have another little cutscene here. Do you want to talk about this again, David? This one's a little bit.
This one destroyed me.
Oh, Krista, do you want to talk about it then?
Yeah, I can talk about it. I mean, the weapon is talking about this, cluster of data that belongs to her that she wants to eventually merge with. I think she does merge with it. She kind of like disappears, and then the camera pans, and it gets all dark and spooky. Mm-hmm. And Halsey's standing there, and she's explaining, like, she has Cortana in her hand. She's explaining like what they're supposed to do together. You know, she's going to be another pair of eyes for you. She exists between your neural interface and your suit, blah, blah, blah. She's going to enhance you. You know, she will sacrifice anything for a mission, even herself and you. You know, it's just, I love how they used purple Cortana as well. I really like that. Just probably a design decision to make her distinct from the weapon as well. Because if there's two blue ladies, they get confusing. But, you know, just explain, like, this first moment with Halsey handing Cortana Chief, and Cortana's being like, he's like, what's her name? Halsey's like, ask her, and she's like, I'm Cortana. But it's a very touching moment. It's something we've never really seen animated. Obviously, it's from The Fall of Reach. It's just like, it's so sad. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's very good.
It's also nice seeing Halsey. More Halsey, please.
Yeah, I also love how when you're approach a data cluster and she's about to interface with it, John is like super cagey. He's just he's like he's not really letting her. Is it safe? He's supposed to. He's asking loads of questions like, okay, you've learned a lesson based on like other AI interactions, and I like that. I like seeing that John has actually changed and how he interacts with the AI. And initially, I thought it was concern for her, but it's not really. And I like the reveal a little bit later of kind of like what he's actually thinking. To like come in, it's one of these other cutscenes that like it adds a whole lot to it when you finish the game and you've come back and watched it again, and I really like that.
Yeah, he's asking, is it safe for humanity now? Is it safe for you?
Yeah, essentially.
Just to the art style, and Krista, I'm going to ask you an awkward question. Halo 4 Cortana was essentially butt-ass naked. Now this purple,
essentially,
right? Yeah. Now purple Cortana here looks like she kind of has a suit on of sorts. Are you like, how do you feel about that change? I mean, I think they had to do it because the way that graphics are now, like there could be too much detail. But anyway, I'm curious about your thoughts of how she's portrayed.
Well, I mean, kind of the entire evolution of Cortana is her becoming like more and more human as the series goes on. So I think what they did is they took the original CE Halo CE Cortana model, which was purple. She was obviously in some kind of suit, or if she was naked, she was, you know, it didn't have as much definition. I think the big difference is that this Cortana is a lot less voluptuous than the Halo 4 Cortana. She's still barefoot. She's still like, might have a suit, she might not, might be a design decision, but the difference is like less volume on her to say, and that changes her into a less sexual character, I suppose. I'm not angry with the design decision of Cortana in Halo 4. I think it's great. I like it. And I also like this Cortana as well. I like how she looks different between the games because she can look however the hell she wants to feel.
Yeah.
You know, she can look whatever she wants to.
Yep. So we come out of this cutscene where Chief essentially gets handed, like she walks onto his hand, which is super rad. And then he comes out of it and he goes, "Was that real?" Like, that's pretty intense.
Yeah. It's important to say, like, what the data was that she got.
Yes,
when she reintegrated back. So, like, this was, like, memories. It was part of her. It was, I think, some of the... Was it the activation index? Was some of that in there?
Yep.
As well? Yeah. So, some of the code needed to activate the Halo.
So this was part of the weapon? Or this was part of Cortana?
She implies that it was her.
Yes.
Yeah, but you know,
I'm thinking it's Cortana.
Learning more about the weapon, I mean, it is like yes.
she doesn't know her origins yet, which is kind of interesting. That we don't know what she doesn't know.
Well, I mean, if you read the books, you kind of know.
Yeah.
And I think you can, even if you haven't, you can kind of guess.
Yeah. So she doesn't absorb it until after all this cutscene. Then she finally does, and it kind of like takes her back a little bit. Yeah,
Dissipates.
She falls down to her knees, and then you get a little visor message that, you know, hey, it's well, actually, I think the visor message actually says fail-safe protocol. Yeah, that's what it says. So once she absorbs that, the suit says suit prepares AI intrusion countermeasures, and then it initiates the fail-safe protocol right here, which is super rad.
So I have a question then. So was that the piece of her that was like her deletion program, and that's why she couldn't delete herself? Was ripped from her?
I always thought that this was John activating this.
I think John activated that.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It wasn't necessarily that this is what she recovered. I think it was John activating the failsafe from his containment device, being like.
But she couldn't delete herself, or the program for her to delete herself wasn't there when.
Right,
well,
but John has the chip, right? It's the containment device that John has is what's I'm saying.
I think what happened is her deletion protocol was set to go off when a very specific,
circumstance.
Yeah, very, very specific, a couple of things had to happen for her to run that routine automatically, and they did not happen. And that's why she is still here. But Cortana's not there. So we're like, well, what happened? Obviously, the thing that was supposed to happen didn't go the way it was supposed to, or else she would be deleted. But Cortana still isn't here, so how did she get deleted? That's kind of the thing.
Right.
So the fail-safe protocol is activated, as you see on screen, and we think John did that. And then she says, the weapon says, a file has been unlocked that I don't have access to. And then he's like, he doesn't say anything. He's just like, yeah, don't worry about it.
Don't read my emails, bitch.
Look over there.
Exactly. All right, so now we have light bridges to walk across, and we do that. What is the next room here? Oh, the next room is where she starts to unlock, open some bridges. And so now, you plug her into a console. She's like, all right, I'll meet you on the other side. And then you're fighting across this room with a bunch of grunts and jackals. And some brutes, and there's a turret in the way as well.
Funny moment in this room when the first parts of the segments of the bridges open up, and there's two grunts on it, and they're like, surprise attack! I thought that was pretty funny.
Dude, the grunt dialogue in general in this game is so good.
Superb.
It's awesome.
They did a great job.
You go over to another console and activate it. She's like, oh, that was fast. So again, she's just she's getting used to you, and it's because really, now that I think of it, when John and Cortana were first paired, they trained together. Whereas the weapon and John, they haven't spent much time together at all, if at all.
Well, that and Cortana studied John to pick him, right? She studied all of them, so she knew everything about him already.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas the weapon's like, oh, hey.
Yep.
Hey, green boy, what's up?
Right, exactly. Okay, so we're getting there. We're gonna crawl through some more stuff here in this area, and you get to another room where it's like a bunch of destroyed pillars, and you see this lone grunt mule. You learn the name of it, a grunt mule, just kind of walking through the door. You immediately murder him.
Yeah, my new favorite grunt.
Yeah,
So good. I love them.
he essentially is there to resupply the Banished with any weapons that he can find. So the fact that the mule exists, which I love, because it explains why you can find UNSC stuff scattered throughout the mission.
No, Colin, his purpose is to resupply me with UNSC weapons in the middle of a mission. That is his purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, did you guys know that you could steal a gun off the back of the mule
without killing him? No,
yeah.
I did not know that.
What?
Yeah, it's basically like picking it off the rack. Yeah, I watched a video of
cool.
someone doing it where the mule was sitting around and all the other grunts were sleeping, and he snuck up behind it and just grabbed the weapon off, switched out weapons off his back.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Yep.
There is, sorry, I missed it. Right before you get to the mule, you do pick up a Banished audio log. That's Eshram's testimony number 2, which we'll cover later. All right, so then we pass the mule. We open up to a new room, and there's a brute just firing. Is he firing like a mauler or a ravager or something? He's firing up from up above you, and
I think it's a spike.
Yeah, it might be a mauler. Yep. So he's firing that at you. You take him out, and then there's a gravity lift that isn't powered, and then we get
this is guy. He has a what's the big gun that shoots big Skewer. He has a skewer.
Oh, it's a skewer.
And
Okay.
right behind him is a seed.
Yep. Yeah, so you got to take him out, then grapple shot up to that seed.
The
And-
skewer is literally the best thing ever.
Yeah, we
I
really
love
talked.
that gun.
This is a weird spot to
This is
give
the
you
first
the skewer.
time.
Do you pick it up?
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, of course.
I did, yeah, I did.
I didn't feel like I needed it, but maybe if for the very end of the mission, it comes in handy.
It's very
does.
handy for the very end of the mission.
Yeah.
Especially if you, I think when I first played this, I was having like a crisis of what enemies will I encounter next, and so I was very like trying to keep weapons that were good for
Right.
all enemies.
Right.
But now that you play it, you're like, yeah, I could use a skewer later on. I can
Yeah,
dig it.
that's a good point.
I just
So-
love how brutal that gun is. It's
Oh
just
my God.
very banished. It fits so well. The first time I found it in multiplayer, I was like, oh shit.
Multiplayer, it's so good. I love it in multiplayer
It's so good.
because it's an insta kill, right? You don't need to hit him in the head; just kills him.
It also like destroys vehicles.
Yeah.
Like you hit a
Yeah.
warthog with it, it's
Yes.
probably gonna explode.
Yep. First time I picked up the skewer on multiplayer, I hit a warthog that was driving by. All three of them blew up. It was
Ooh.
glorious.
It's so satisfying. It's probably my favorite new weapon to just Halo in general.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about what that thing does when you shoot it at a grunt, it's like horrible. It's like, oh my god.
Oh yeah,
It's
it's called the skewer for a reason.
Yeah.
There's nothing
Yeah,
left.
exactly.
Poor little guy.
Well, the other thing is it's brutal, and I love it in the way that it feels, but it could be more brutal. Like it could, stick the enemies to the walls. It doesn't.
Yeah.
do
I
that.
wish
I
they
think
did
that'd be
that.
cool.
I do wish they did that.
Yeah, or like even like sandwich multiple, like if they're standing back to back to back, like go through them all. Like
I think
would-
that does happen.
Oh, it does do
not?
that.
It
I don't know.
might. I know the
I think-
sniper rifle
well-
does that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it might.
If
I can't remember.
if you look at how the weapon's built, the actual like round, it's like very cylindrical, right? So like if it would never catch the body,
Ah.
right? It would go straight through it.
Oh,
It
Oh,
wouldn't
you're
like
right, Matt.
it
Actually,
wouldn't
yeah.
pull.
yeah, because it doesn't have like an
it wouldn't
arrow
pull the body.
at the end, the feathers at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't exactly. It doesn't have like a something to
Catch it.
grab it.
Yeah.
You know, it just goes. But I'd rather see them stick to the wall, or at least like take an arm with it.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's rated T for teen,
T
so
for
I don't
teen
think
now,
they
yeah.
can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Damn video game ratings.
Make Halo M
Right.
again.
Yeah. Finally, a cause to get behind.
So we get the skewer. Pick that up if you want, because you may need that later. Then you go up the gravity lift after you put the power seed in, and then you get some more whispers. These ones are a little bit different. I'll read them quick. It says, all space, all time, the stars swelling, collapsing, ending, serving their longer, shorter use. And then we also get, it says, the yearning amply fed at last, prepared to meet you. I don't
It's
know
very
what any of that
grave
stuff
mind,
is.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah,
very.
it is. I always thought that this was like, this is rampant Cortana moments of like just whatever's popping off in her brain.
Mm-hmm.
She's just spouting out.
Yeah. it's
It
not
is really
familiar.
nice how they mix in like pre-CE Cortana with later on Cortana, and just you kind of get a perfect meld of Cortana throughout the series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is good for us lore nerds, but I can see how like a casual is like, what the hell is going on? Right?
Yeah.
Trying to follow the story.
Here goes that whisper
Yeah.
lady.
Exactly. Okay, powerful moment coming up here. You reach the top of the lift and you get to this room where there are bodies everywhere. Grunts, brutes, and Bonita Stone, one of
Sad ODST
Taurus.
music plays.
We just mentioned her in the last episode. So she didn't make it. She died here, but you do get to carry her forward with her shield upgrade.
I love this moment with the Spartan where the weapon tells you information about them, how they
Yeah.
died, all the good things that they did, and Chief almost has a little moment,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously means like he was involved in at least the training or the creation or just being around these Spartans. He sees them as equals. He doesn't see himself as better than them, even though he's a Spartan too, with different augmentations than these newer generations of Spartans, and I like that.
I like the idea that he might have known these.
Yes.
Yeah.
He knew Griffin for sure.
I am going to... So I want to talk about the upgrades here, and I realized in the last mission I didn't talk about the upgrades for the grapple shot, and I wrote them down, so I'm going to talk about those quick first. So we haven't found...
They don't really come into play here, though, right? The upgrades?
No, we haven't found a Spartan core yet, but I just want to... Every time we encounter a new equipment upgrade, I'm just going to talk about that as we encounter them in the missions. So... back to grapple shot. So you can upgrade those with Spartan cores. We haven't talked about those yet, but they're little findable, like, I don't know, points that you can accumulate and then spend to upgrade your equipment. So for the grapple shot, you get a base grapple shot, and then you can upgrade it 4 different times. So the first one is called the Voltaic, and that stuns an enemy, and you spend 1 Spartan core for that. The quick shot reduces the grapple shot cooldown by 40%. That costs 2 Spartan cores.
Love that.
That's upgrading the game.
That's when you can all of a sudden like fly around like Spider-Man, right? When you upgrade that.
Yeah, pretty much.
That'll come into play once we get to the open world. The third upgrade is First Strike, and that costs 3 Spartan points, and that delivers a powerful shock wave blast when you hold melee. And I think a lot of people don't. So when you grapple to someone, you know how you can grapple them and like it'll pull your body to them, which I don't know how that works with weight and physics and all that sort of stuff, but it does. It pulls you to them, and if you don't do anything, it'll still melee them, right? Like when you get right to them?
Yeah, it automatically melees when you get...
Oh, does that? Oh, man, okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was one.
So in order to do the First Strike upgrade, you need to hold down melee to then do this blast, shockwave blast.
This is the new ground pound, essentially.
Yes.
It's what it is. It even zooms out in the third person to show you doing it. Which is, it's a cool animation. And the final upgrade also
it's
is really
neat.
dope, so.
Yeah, and then the final one is called Reach Fall, which also costs 3 Spartan points, and it increases the damage and the radius of the shock blast, so it'll stun enemies around whoever you're smacking. So definitely upgrade that as you're playing. Grapple shot. My first playthrough, I upgraded the grapple shot like first, and then subsequent playthroughs, I'm like, maybe I'll do one of these other things and just see how that works.
Shields and grapple shot.
Yeah.
Yep. Shields and grapple.
So in shields, you don't have to activate it all. That's a thing. So you get this shield core from Bonita Stone, and it you don't do anything to it. It just upgrades your shield. It makes it so you can absorb more damage. So the first upgrade is just, I don't know if it actually upgrades your shield or not, but it more or less allows you to upgrade your shield. So the first upgrade is called Fortress. It costs 1 Spartan core. It increases your shield capacity by 15%. The rest of the upgrades also do the same thing. It's just 50%, 15%, 15%. So the first one's called Fortress. The second one is Bastille, and that's 2 Spartan points. The third one is Redoubt, which costs 3. And the fourth one is Citadel, which costs 3. I love those naming conventions, by the way. Super cool.
Quick question, though. Did you guys notice much of a difference in your shield strength?
Not really.
It didn't feel like it.
Only in Legendary, when I noticed that I wasn't getting insta-killed by certain weapons. I noticed that, like, I survived with maybe 1 piece of health left or whatever. And that's the only time I ever noticed a difference. Not in, like, my normal playthrough at all.
Because there was some times where, later on I'd have all the shields, and I'd still feel like I was killed very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think
just the thing that knocks all your shields will always knock all your shields, regardless of the amount of shield you have. So like there are things that just take your shield out in 1 hit, and like it doesn't matter the amount that you have. Do you know what I mean? So like it depends really on what way you're taking damage.
Right. Okay, so we have our shield upgrade, and now we're ready for the boss fight. So we get to this big room where there is an elevator. The weapon comments on this elevator on how to get out of here. And then we have a ton of brutes, or excuse me, a ton of jackals, a ton of grunts. They're all in this room. You really need to work on clearing these out. Krista, you want to talk about this room and your approach here? Was this part frustrating for you at all, or did you blaze through it?
This is the room with the elevator?
Yeah, like you're starting at the beginning door and you have to work your way up to the elevator. You have to go get the power seeds eventually.
Oh, I hate the power seeds. No, it wasn't super frustrating. It was just,
There's
it's
a lot
kind
of
of
enemies.
corridory. It's a lot of enemies.
A lot of
but-
jackals.
Yeah, the jackals, I mean, with the sidekick, though, the jackals aren't too bad. Even the mauler's not bad to dispatch them. I remember at one point I ran out of ammo on everything, so I had to pick up the Covenant. It's not the carbine.
Disruptor?
What it is? No, it's the
Oh.
blue one.
Oh, the
Plasma
carbine, is that what it's called? Or
Yeah, whatever.
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
That thing. Yeah, I grabbed that. That was fun. It works way better in this than multiplayer. That's for sure.
Yeah,
like we
yeah.
said
It actually
last
takes down
time.
shields pretty well. Yeah, I was having some luck with it.
Yeah, it's really good. No, I didn't find anything particularly difficult about this. It was just kind of part of the level, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just a lot. There was a lot here for me. So you can actually just skirt ahead, and the grunts kind of plot along. And if you can, I'm sure on legendary you have to take everybody out, because of the jackal snipers. They'll just one shot you, but you can just skirt onto the left side of the room, and then you can get all the way down, like past the elevator, and there's a door, there's an opening, and that's where you can go. You have to go down here to get a power seed, but then you reach this giant room with a ton of silexes. It's not just the human silexes that you've seen before. It's a little bit of everything, which is super cool. So you have this giant room where you can you see everything. There actually is one, at least that I know of, one a surprise Silex, I guess. One Easter egg. Have you guys seen this one? The little rat one?
no.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so I put a link in the notes if you want to link. It's and Unishek called him Peanut the Space Gopher.
No, it's obviously Halo 3 rat. Come on.
But it looks like a little rat figure. So if you look around the room,
That's cool. I didn't know
it's
that. That's cool.
elites, it's humans, it's grunts, it's everything. But then there's this one off to the side that's funny. So I love that they did that.
Just a quick observation about the prior room before you get the seed. Did it remind anyone of Delta Halo? That one room where the walls slant in? It's just that this little area just kind of reminded me of the architecture within Delta Halo, and I thought that was a nice little callback.
There's a lot of Halo 2 in this game from an architecture standpoint.
I thought it was cool.
So right next to the power seat in this room with all the silexes, there is another audio log, and so that's the prisoner number 1. Again, we'll talk about that in a little bit. So go grab that. So you bring the power seed back up to the room. Hopefully you've cleared out all of the enemies. Before you do that, though, David, you found something interesting here too, didn't you, on the other side of the room?
I sure did. Like, before you plug in the power seed, if you go directly behind the console, there's another door that brings you into another room. And there's only one Silex in this room, and it's massive. And it has a fucked up shape on it. And the Silex is like surrounded by shields and stuff, so it very much looks like they don't want to activate it. It's really crazy looking. I was thinking, is it Forerunner? No, sorry, is it Precursor or is it Flood? It looks like a big ass infection form.
Yep.
It's all weird, tentacly and stuff. So I don't know. I was bouncing between the two, but it looks really cool. I love how there's just one. It's massive. It's on clearly locked down. It's pretty cool. Worth a look. No,
Yep.
So what door do you go through to get to that?
It's the opposite side. In the right where you put the power seat in, where you're about to push the button to call down the lift. If you turn directly behind you, there's another door down there. If you head that direction, you should. It's not hard to find. It's just like another Forerunner door on the opposite side of that room.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
And I don't know if you can access it after the boss fight that's coming up.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, but best if you want to go see it, best to do it before you activate the boss. Okay, so
okay, so I just saw it. I'm watching Ian's playthrough, and he went and looked. Oh,
Isn't it
nice! That's
it's a
sick.
super fun Easter egg, and it's it's not super hidden. It's there, but it's something.
Yeah, I don't know what
gets the
that
wheels
is.
turning. It looks like an infection form to me.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, big giant infection form. They've been feeding that thing.
All right, let's bring it home here. So we have the power seed. You put it in, and then we activate a cutscene. The weapon is like, "Hey, look, it's active. Oh, something's coming down." And she's in her naivete. She says, "Oh, maybe somebody's coming down to help us. Maybe it's friendly." Chief knows it's not.
I like that. It's not.
It isn't, he says. And then you have Tremonius, and he's jacked up on cocaine, and he's ready to go. And he taunts you a little bit.
That boy loves his coke.
He's ready to fight you, and he says, Eshrum's told me to come and, get you. He didn't say in how many pieces. Let's go. David, do you want to take us through your experience on this fight?
Yeah. Fuck Legendary. God damn. This boss is he's one of the toughest bosses I've faced so far on Legendary is this guy.
Really?
Yeah, it's a huge kind of difficulty spike.
Probably, right?
It's that too, and like there's not great weapons in the environment, so like definitely plan before, because certain areas are blocked off to you now.
Bring the
skewer. I would say pick up a carbine to knock down his shields. There's some cores around. I think the key is to take out the jackals straight away. They both have maulers, and they will snipe you. They will kill you pretty quickly. He's just on a jetpack and he shoots a hydra, so they might almost track you, but he's very accurate with it. He'll lob grenades and stuff like that, and he'll bounce around. He'll do essentially a Spartan charge, or like he will fly up into the sky and charge down and smash the ground. He'll do like a ground pound. That's the word. He will ground pound you. On the higher difficulties, that's an insta kill. So like you need to be careful. The grapple hook is good for like pulling coils towards you and weapons and stuff off racks. There's a few things around to do that. But like I said, take out the jackals first. There's an underground area that you can kind of go down a little loop. This was really important for a Legendary. I managed to pull him down there and snipe him from across the way, and that was really useful for that kind of stuff. I don't really know what else is there. It's a standard fight, pretty much their first boss fight in Halo with a health bar in a long time. So like, I appreciate the health bar. His shield will restore itself, so be careful. Keep up the pressure. That really sucks.
All the bosses will. If you leave them alone for too long, that shield will restore. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Is it? I've never let it get like restore several times, but does it restore every time, or does it sometimes come back to half?
No, I've always noticed it go up full.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I see it going up, I try to pop a shot off to stop it.
Yeah.
And well, we'll talk about this later, I guess. Yeah, each boss fight is a little different. So this is your first taste.
Not all bosses are created equal.
Right. Krista, any other thoughts to
Oh, I love this fight. I definitely skewered the shit out of him the first time. It was a lot of fun. I'm like, I want to kill this guy with the skewer. That sounds great.
Did the jackals give you problems? My first time.
I always take them out first, like David said. I always kill them with whatever my second hand weapon is, and then I focus skewer fire on our friend Tremonius.
Mm-hmm. Matt, anything to add?
I haven't played this Legendary because I actually still want to like this game. But I only played normal, but on that it was pretty easy. I mean, obviously you guys know I'm not the best player, but it was pretty easy. I think once you focus on knocking his shields down, it's pretty standard.
You just run around, grapple shot around. Yeah, just don't get next to him.
The grapple shot is great. I've been like spamming that to just like as I'm screaming as I'm running away.
All right, so we defeat him, and you win. You win the first boss fight. The weapon says you are right. He wasn't friendly, which is fun, I guess. Then you go up the elevator, and the game continues, but that's the end of the mission, because when you get to the top of the elevator, that's when it tells you you're starting a new mission up there. So we are done, completed. We made it. We did it. Foundation is complete. All right, we're going to go around the room really quick and talk about rating the mission. Matt, I'll start with you again.
I'll go with 8. I think I'll stick with an 8. I liked it a lot. Yeah, I liked it a lot. I think it had a lot of good little mystery boxes set up. Really nice callbacks to the past. That really nice cutscene with Cortana, and then a pretty engaging boss fight. So yeah, I'll go 8.
Yeah, the boss fight brings it up a bit. Krista?
I agree with 8. I think the game is still trying to set up a lot of stuff. It's still kind of tutorial-y. It is obviously trying to set up a lot of the story elements and characters and stuff like that, but it's a solid mission, definitely.
David?
I agree, 8. I liked the story, I liked the gameplay. It has to do a lot, and I think it does it well to set up this game by itself. I mean, we can talk later about like the fact that it just glosses over a whole bunch of stuff that it never talks about, previous storylines and stuff like that from previous games. But it does well to set this game up by itself as a standalone thing, which is, as it turns out, actually a pretty great Halo game. So yeah, I'll go with an 8.
Yeah, I think I'm there too. The encounters before the very end of the game, like this last room before the boss fight and the boss fight itself, are difficult encounters, so I think that brings it up. And then there's a lot of story that's being told. The way that the level is designed and the way it looks, I think is good. So I don't know if I can go 9 because it's still more on the basic side of things, but let's give this an 8. So 8's across. So this is a contender for one of the better missions in Halo, which is great.
Nice.
All right, let us do. Will we do trivia now? Is there anything? Does Halo
0.
anything?
Move on from trivia. Well, I guess
we
we talked
covered
about
most
the
of it.
they're not in Halo PD yet, but like obviously the Silexes and stuff like that, they're bits of trivia, hidden things. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we touched on it.
Nice.
Okay, let's do some audio logs. Take it away, Matt.
All right. So the next UNSC audio log that we have is The Question. Catherine Elizabeth Halsey, October 7th, 2559. Blue team must return to Reach. Siblings returning home. I have many regrets, but those 4, with all they have accomplished, both together and as individuals, will never be one of them. I think Chief has more individual accomplishments than all of them put together, but...
Goodbye. That word has stayed with me. It has been nearly 4 months since Cortana's attack. Since that day, we have been constantly moving, trying to stay one step ahead of her. Any plan we make is risky, to say the least. This one... Goodbye. She needs to be destroyed. As I say these words out loud, as I formulate the plan, I have one question. Can John do this? Can we all rely on him to do what is needed? To kill his friend?
We're coming up on Reach, Dr. Halsey.
And Blue Team?
Ready. You coming to say goodbye?
No. Tell Master Chief to report to me when he has completed his mission.
Dun, dun, dun.
A lot of goodbye. That's interesting.
Yeah. I think it's going off of the Goodbye, John. Which everyone forgot John's name.
And this will, so real quick, so that one Procedure is after, that's a recovered file. So we listened to the plan last episode, then this is the question. This one is a day after. And again, they're outside of Reach and they're going to do the thing in the book. Go ahead.
All right, next one we have Eshram's testimony. This is number 2 Silex. This one does not have any date as per Eshram's testimonies, his diary log.
Tremonius has found the object. Even in my darkest moments, when I feel the most lost, Atriox's wisdom continues to impress me. I regret that I ever doubted him. His talk of forerunners, of their lies, of secrets hidden in this forsaken ring.
Okay. So this ties in with the Silexes, but it talks about how Atriox knew something specific about a Silex.
It also seems that Atriox was pretty anti-Forerunner as well.
Yeah, good point.
Which is interesting. And I guess that's why he was also anti-Covenant, because the Covenant really loved the Forerunners. Mm-hmm. Okay, next up, let me find Prisoner.
This is Combat Medic Lucas Browning. If you find this, you need to understand. They forced me to help them with it. Whatever it is. They brought it up from whatever's below. When it opened, God, it was something different. I've never seen anything like it. You need to believe me. It's not my fault.
Bum, bum, bum.
They've unlocked something.
These are
So clearly,
these are all great.
they still need people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think they did a good job, listening to these now after playing the mission and doing the analysis of the mission, which you don't necessarily get when you're just playing it, right? You're like, oh, I unlocked something. I'm going to go listen to this when I'm, 4 or 5 hours ahead, right? But if you listen to them in the moment and knowing just what you did in Foundation with the Silexes, all this stuff kind of ties together, right?
It's nice how it complements the mission, yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, play the game correctly, unlike Oren, who didn't bother listening to a single audio file until after.
What?
Yeah, that crazy son of a bitch. Didn't listen to any of them. Didn't even know he could play them in real time. What a fool. What a fool. This guy.
Oh, no. I never really, went out and hunted out of my way, but if it was right on the path and I bumped into it, I'm like, oh, I'll listen to it.
I did. I became
Always.
obsessed because I needed to find out more, because this game tells you nothing. So I was like, give me the answers. So these are great, though. These are all great individually. Really good ones.
It'd be really nice if someone linked this all into a podcast so that you could listen to all the audio logs in order, just while you're just doing your daily day thing. Ian.
All right, let's do community, and then we'll get out of here. Krista, you ready in Discord?
Hell yeah. All right. Colin Perkins yesterday at 8:59 p.m. What pose or shape would you be on the outside of your Silex? Parentheses. Question for Mission Debrief, : Halo Infinite - Foundation mission, close parentheses. Colin says, sorry, batch recording 2 episodes tomorrow. I didn't plan ahead. Answer both,
Damn
please. You should have deleted it, Colin.
Edit it out in post.
Matt says, my silhouette would be a corpse pose. Chad Smith Dad says his pose would be a fetal position. Elson says his would be a facepalm position. Too many times I've had to do it recently. Toki McPot says my pose would be me bending over and away from the view as to show my buttocks with my head turned around and I fingers slightly pulling down on my lower lip. Oh my god. And that's it. Those are the ones.
All right. I think Facebook had a couple more this time.
Yeah, we got a few in there. So on Facebook, Colin Perkins admin 17 hours ago as of recording.
Ooh.
What pose or shape would be on the outside of your Silex? Question mark, open bracket, question for Mission Debrief, Halo Infinite, Foundation, mission, close bracket. A lovely picture of the human Silex. So we got 11 comments here, everybody, so we're doing pretty good. Manny Batista, once again, same shape of all of the early 21st century, eating a hamburger with a healthy belly shape. Good man. Rico has the picture of a wrestler I don't immediately recognize, but it's pretty dope pose. Anyone know who that wrestler is? I'm not sure. Arms spread eagled, looking up like a Greek goddess. Pretty good.
Yeah, he's got his arms
yeah.
stretched out, just like, yeah, bring it on.
Lucas says either the Han Solo pose after he's frozen in carbonite. That's pretty good.
Yes!
Or it would look like I'm doing the sprinkler dance. That's pretty good.
Hell yeah.
Chuck says downward teabag, standard Halo. Matthew, I would like to say doggy style or reverse cowgirl, but in space they're the same damn thing. Well done, Matt.
Oh
That's
my
amazing.
god.
Yeah. Alexander has a Grinch gif doing a saucy pose. It's pretty good. Hand on hip, if you will. Axel has, even in eternal rest, I would love to flip everyone off. Dave says, if it's going to be my pose forever, then it's going to have to be me walking the dog in the nip. Okay. Tanner says, this one is easy. Yes, it's a JoJo reference. So this
Hell
is
yeah.
if someone knows what that is, they'll know what that
JoJo's
is.
Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah. Aldrin says either one of these, which is a shark plush hugging him and the other one of the shark eating him. It's pretty hilarious. It's pretty good. And Ray finally says like a Michael Jackson kind of like kicking his foot up gif. It's pretty good. Those are the good ones.
I think I do the thinker pose.
Nice. All right, that will do it for our debriefing of the Foundation mission from Halo Infinite. On the next episode, we'll be covering Outpost Tremonius, the guy we just killed.
What?
Send us your thoughts.
Sorry, Tremonius.
To podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet. Podcast Evolved on Twitter. You can also support the show by visiting Podcast Evolved on Patreon. Until next time, evolve.
Evolved!
Evolved.